I went to Jemez Springs
Mm-hmm.
right before the semester started, like the first year I lived in New Mexico, and I was friends with this shaman who insisted on being called Wolf.
Hell yeah. Well, you're a shaman. Why not? If you're a shaman, you
Yeah.
better be called Wolf or something.
Yeah, so I drove, so this is like probably an hour and a half north of Santa Fe. So I drove up there, and you got to drive on like dirt roads to get to the waterfalls and everything.
Uh-huh.
And it was really interesting, the people that were there. There was a former Los Angeles police officer
Mm-hmm.
who was fired for being too violent, or he was fired after the Rodney King riots. Like that was his story that he was telling me. And I was like, what are you doing at this full moon circle where
He's
everyone else was doing mushrooms?
trying to heal internalized racism. That's what
I knew a guy named Wolf too, actually.
Yeah, how was he?
Well, it was the days when I was still like listening to Kyle Kalinske on YouTube and when it was Bernie Sanders' first campaign. And I
mm-hmm.
had this one friend who like dropped out of high school with, well, he dropped out, but I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
But we
Oh,
both went to volunteer for the Bernie thing because he was like he would always wear like communist pins, and I remember one time he pointed to a police car and he was like, "We own them," and I just remember thinking like, "We like you don't even pay taxes, bro," because he was like always unemployed. But we went to that Bernie thing and volunteered for like 15 hours straight, and the
Yeah.
guy there working, his name was Wolf.
Did Bernie win? Did it work? Did
Well,
Bernie
no,
win?
but it's because Wolf like took a big ass shit in like the bathroom there. He like he just sort of like exited awkwardly, and I remember like the smell just entering the room, and there were like pizzas for volunteers like right next to the bathroom
oh.
door, and like the fecal matter probably like went all over the pizzas and shit. So like I'll never forget that, dude.
Oh, ah, I swallowed tobacco. Ah, forgot. Ah, ah.
That's
Oh.
gross.
When I was a dog walker, that was my first job was dog walking in Lincoln Park.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great band.
We would all roll our own cigarettes.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
Lincoln Park, Chicago. We would roll our own cigarettes, and I ended up swallowing tobacco sometimes. I would get the Bugle
Yeah, bugles.
package.
All right. They kind of have like a little weird chemical kind of thing to it. You know what I mean? I'm not a big
Yeah,
fan of.
What is that? Is that like tobacco?
Yeah, it's
yeah.
rolling tobacco.
Bugles. Oh,
Do
Mm,
you use filters?
me, no way, man.
damn.
Ah, I'm like a cowboy.
You need a little spit bucket.
A spittoon is the word you're looking for.
Yeah.
You know, I bought a pack of nicotine gum from Target like 3 weeks ago,
hmm
and it made me want to spit. It was gross, so I stopped using it.
You kept having fucking panic attacks from it,
Yeah, yes, we can hear you. Yeah, I did keep having panic attacks from the
which is
nicotine gum.
crazy. It's just your health is so bad. But you
No,
took
it's not.
eating, which, well, not eating. That would be funny if you were eating packs of nicotine gum. But she got nicotine gum, and then she was just like, "Oh my God, I think I'm going to have a heart attack from a nicotine gum." Right? Her health
No,
is,
I didn't.
No, I
I
think it
didn't
was
say.
the progesterone or whatever it's
or the
called.
court, all these different chemicals that she deals in.
What is that? Yeah, I genuinely want to know.
Progesterone is like a hormone that men and women have that balances out estrogen.
I always just I hate adapting to things. I'm not an early adapter. I'm not a late adapter. I just don't want to adapt. I want to be unadaptable. I'm uninterested in this stuff. but I
I
did
think the phrase is early adopter, not early adapter, but
adopter. Yes, yeah, 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 yeah.
I didn't know adaptation was announced adaptation until like my thesis for my master's degree. That was a waste of my time. I thought it was always adaption, but my thesis advisor was like, no, it's adaptation, and I felt like a moron.
Yeah, I think everybody has those things. You know what I mean? Because you, especially if you write, and that means you read a lot, and so you know a lot of words, but you don't have anybody to fucking talk to.
You,
You know what I
you
mean?
know
Yeah,
who
I
would also
mispronounce a lot of shit.
Yeah, it's
Well,
crazy.
that's because you're an ESL, but do you know who else
Oh, come on. I'm
mispronounced?
not, that's like, I'm not an ESL. I mean,
That's what someone told me about you. They were like, "Why does he speak this way?" And I said, "Well, he's Polish."
My friend said you sound like Chills. No,
We already talked about chills.
well, did you look Chills up? Because
I did look chills up. I read the Wikipedia article. He looked
you
like
need to
a,
listen to the voice. His
yeah, the
no,
the
voice.
voice is all it's all about the voice.
I don't have time for that. I forgot what I was saying.
That he was a Polak and that someone told you that.
That's not the term I used. I said
No, no, I used it.
he speaks and writes that way because English is not his first language,
Yeah, but I
and
think I
people should be.
speak pretty well.
Yeah, it's fine. All rappers have that kind of cadence, I think.
No, I'm like a Chief Keef type where on the interviews he's just like,
He
I'm
gets
from
wild.
Chicago. No, he doesn't get
Is
wild at
he
all.
really from Chicago?
He like mumbles and shit because he's really traumatized.
You know, my students would always ask me when I told them I lived in Chicago for 4 years. They were like, "Did you live on O Block?" And I was like, "No." So I had to look up O Block, and I was like, "No, that's absolutely not where I lived. I
You
lived
looked up
in
O Block?
Oh,
Yeah, I
fuck.
lived in Logan Square with the rest of the well-to-do
Yeah.
people."
You are about one of the whitest. I mean, I grew up in Appalachia in a fucking trailer. Mari is Polish, but somehow you, with that Hispanic blood, is the whitest person here. That's crazy.
Well, my parents were very intent on raising my brother and I as white.
Well, as you
That was
should.
a Oh, come on. There was this thing with my Mexican family. It was very important for my mother's parents. They
Mhm.
stressed that they didn't want their kids growing up with accents. So
Mhm.
they would only speak English in the house, and none of them really know how to speak Spanish. They know a little because there's like five of them. They know how to speak a little Spanish, but none of them have the accent that my maternal grandparents do.
Yeah, but
And
that's not
then,
really how accents work. You know what I mean?
I mean, the accent's a plus now. They kind of fumbled it.
Yeah.
well, I tried really hard to get in with like the Chicano or Chicanx artists in Albuquerque, and they all like looked at me like, "What is wrong with you?"
Whiteoid spotted.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. Like I remember I was in the Sprouts on Lomas Avenue in Albuquerque, and it was like my second week living there. So I just picked a place on a map and moved there. It was awesome. But
Hmm.
I had this RAV4 with Illinois plates, and this woman who had New Mexico plates was like, "Go back to Illinois. Go back. We don't want you here." And that was like one of my earliest experiences there. And then I tried really hard to like do like local arts journalism or something there.
Hmm.
And I would be interviewing people and I would send them the article. And this is free advertisement that I'm doing for their small business or the services that they offer or an
Yeah,
interview.
yeah.
And there were these two women who lived in Borellis. Borellis is a neighborhood south of the University of New Mexico and south of downtown Albuquerque. That's kind of like the
Okay.
grittier, trendier area of Albuquerque because like Nob Hill, where I lived, was like the Wicker Park of Albuquerque. And then I guess you could say Borellis was like the Pilsen of Albuquerque, but not
What is
Pilsen now.
what is Pilsen?
Pilsen
What are you talking about? What is this stuff?
I'm talking about Chicago.
Pilsen, that's in Chicago. So did you lived in Pilsen and Nob Hill?
No, I lived in Nob Hill in Albuquerque. And then these two women who owned this, like they made Blue Lotus tinctures and they cleared your energy or something and charged you
Oh
like
yeah, oh yeah.
$125. You know what? I'm going to backtrack that. They charged money for their services. I don't know how much they were charging, but
Hmm.
I wrote about them and the first thing they say to me, there's misinformation in what you wrote.
Can you imagine the goal of someone to be like, our crystal healing, you didn't get all the facts right about how crystals heal you. You know what I mean? There's a little bit of
Yeah.
misinformation about the health benefits of fucking crystals. That's crazy to me.
Well, what they were doing was limpias. It was limpia services. So you would go in and they would take out a bunch of feathers and like shakers and everything, and they would cleanse your energy and they would tell you what they saw. And I actually got that done quite a bit in New
I
Mexico because
bet
it
you
was like,
did. I bet you
yeah,
did.
yeah,
And
I
what
did.
did
I
it
did.
help?
I did feel lighter, especially with Reiki. I still am interested in
Ugh.
Reiki, and there's this woman I follow on Instagram who pulls articles from PubMed about people who receive Reiki in hospitals after like organ transplants or bone grafts or something, and the results are promising.
Yeah.
But I
What is
had
that exactly, though?
They touch you in
Reiki.
places and put crystals in certain parts of your body.
So
Um,
that's not traditional Reiki. Traditional Reiki is no hands. It's Japanese. There's no touching. And it's
Ooh,
drawing symbols in
Japanese.
the air. Yes, drawing symbols in the air over someone's body. But typically, the people in Albuquerque and Santa Fe did like a really westernized version of it that involved like crystals and everything. But I think the one of the more out there things I did was sound healing. Someone got me a sound healing package for my birthday,
Hmm.
and I remember the woman had all of these beautiful, expensive tools, and she would put the bowl on my chest and she would hit the bowl, and you could just feel it throughout your
Hmm.
entire body.
Similar thing. My friends, they had this. So there was this setup in their garage, right, where they took a metal bed frame and they hung it from the ceiling. All right, and then they tied pieces of string to it, to each side. And so what happened is you hit the gravity bong, and then you wrap the
Oh,
pieces of string around your fingers and you put them in your ears, and then you just fucking groove on it. It was awesome. I think similar things. Frequencies do shit. I don't know what they do, but they do it. You know.
yeah. So I have a story about pizza that my coworkers, at my current job, like took the piss out of me for. So there's something
Hmm.
called, the Clock Tower in Rockford, Illinois. It was
Hmm.
a hotel and water resort, and they knocked it down and built the Hard Rock Casino on top of it.
Awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, I need to get a Hard Rock Casino t-shirt before I move, because
It's awesome.
yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, exactly.
It's great to go
It's
there.
one.
I
Yeah,
love
it's
going there.
one. Yeah, I love going to the Hard Rock Casino,
See, you're
Rockford.
being facetious, but I'm not. It's awesome. You get to see stuff.
is that like the Hard Rock Cafe? Like,
Yes, but it's the Cheap Trick version. It's because
oh,
Cheap Trick is from Rockford, but it's probably the nicest
Awesome.
place in Rockford. But before, it was the Clockwork Hotel. It was called Cocoa Keys, and they had a little tiny Pizza Hut inside the water resort. And
Hmm.
every time I would go there, my coworkers were like, "Oh, Cocoa Keys was so dirty." And I was like, I always enjoyed going there because I would get a personal pan pizza from the Pizza Hut and sit in the hot tub and watch movies. And they were like, that's fucking disgusting. And I
that's
was like,
actually very similar to like when I used to go to the beach here. Like, When I tell people that, they're all disgusted because the water's all green and gooey. But when you're like younger, it doesn't
Is the
matter.
water, is it really gooey out there? I only saw the Atlantic, like in at Red Hook was the neighborhood I was in, but it was far away.
Well, the beach in Queens is much cleaner, but the one in Brooklyn by Coney Island, like you get in the water and you have like that residue on your skin, kind of like you just put
Ugh,
on sunscreen.
That's
that's
awesome.
disgusting.
That's
No,
so
it's
cool.
not, it's
Be a
sad.
grimer there.
That's what it feels like, muck.
We live in a fallen world.
Yeah,
Um,
it's definitely getting there. There's no doubt about it. Hey, can you guys hear this? Because I can't hear them on my microphones. Can you hear this?
Emotional damage.
Oh shit.
Is it just my cable?
I heard it.
I heard it.
Emotional damage. Emotional damage.
Okay.
Where is that from?
It's an app called Sound Buttons, and people upload their
Hmm.
things, and it has like a social media aspect where you
Wait,
can like it. You know what I mean? And so people, and if enough people like your thing, you get like pennies for it or something like that. You get money for it. It's fucking, it's a fucking. Let me get a cup of coffee. Give me a second.
sure. Did you reach 50,000 steps this weekend?
No, my foot is like yellow. The a spot on my foot is like yellow. I might have to go to the doctor.
Yeah, that's probably no good. You might just need like a pumice stone.
No, I put it in Epsom salt now.
Yeah, Epsom salt is good.
Isn't like over in Europe, don't they do like a weird thing with commas? Like instead of using like a decimal point for a change, don't they put a comma there? Makes me
I don't
confused.
know a lot. I don't know a lot about Europe, but I've been thinking about the United Kingdom as a possible escape route for me
Well, oh my God. No, that's
to
like the worst fucking place in the
You're a
world.
traitor.
No, 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 no. You don't have, you don't, they're not going to make you pay your student loans there. And
Hmm.
there's also a woman there. I really like her Instagram and
That is stupid.
some of the repeat people on Twitter don't like her, but she posts all the stuff that she does on London. Her name is Veronica. It's at Celestial
Oh,
No,
XD.
is that the oyster lady that like found the
Yeah.
boyfriend?
Yeah, yeah, and she was off of Twitter for a while. So I was actually initially kind of skeptical of Veronica because some of my Pete acolytes were like, she's
Acolytes.
not she's not for us, is what
Hmm.
they were telling me. I was like, well, I'm gonna check out her Instagram because she quit Twitter and now she's back on Twitter, but her Instagram is beautiful. Like the infographics that she makes, and she introduced me to this idea to stop your cortisol because every day around 10, 11 a.m. I start feeling really, really stressed and I can check my aura ring and it's like, yeah, you're stressed every day at 10 a.m. It's the cortisol in my body.
These devices you have, like it's science experiments you're doing with all these fucking things.
But isn't it ironic that aura ring probably emits some like cancer causing waves and shit?
I think that it's probably low EMF. I
I don't
definitely,
know. It might be microwaves.
yeah,
Mm.
you could look that up.
5G? 5G? Do you believe in 5G?
Bro, that shit might be real to
It
be
might be
honest.
real.
Like,
Well, I'm glad you guys said that first.
look at all the waves in the world. You think that shit ain't cooking us?
Something's
Like,
cooking us.
I mean, I'm using AirPods right now, so I'm a hypocrite, but
yeah, you're like cooking. You're cooking yourself. You're like a rotisserie chicken.
With the red lights? With the red light? Do you feel like a rotisserie chick? She has this red light thing.
no.
This whole red light thing. Where she just red light on her all the time. I don't understand it. It helps, I
It's
guess.
supposed to be so I have a health condition that arises from stress. The
Hmm.
red light helps lower the stress. And this Veronica lady is saying that you need to drink orange juice as soon as you wake up in the morning because vitamin C and sugar will blunt that stress response. And there's this study that she made this infographic about where, and I haven't read the actual study. I would assume it's out there. I would trust her word. But the study was you go to McDonald's, you get a Big Mac, you eat it, your inflammatory markers, whatever super small ones they're
Mm-hmm.
using to measure the inflammatory response of McDonald's, they go up. You go to McDonald's, get a Big Mac, and drink orange juice with it.
Mm-hmm.
There's I don't want to say there's no damage, but the damage is lesser than if you had not drank the orange
Hmm.
juice. And it's basically like I feel like I like her infographics on Instagram is what I'm saying, but you really should just read Ray Pete's website. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you know who was asking me about Ray Pete and like thyroid stuff today?
Who?
You should cut this part out and cut and bleep his name out, but was asking me about caffeine and the
Mm-hmm.
thyroid and everything. And I said, I've been having a little bit of an upset stomach recently. I think that it might have been a combination of being canceled by a small press and launching a podcast. My stomach has been a little bit of a mess. And I went and got blood work done, and my blood work is fine. I'm perfect. I'm even healthier than I was the last time I checked.
I think it's Stone Baby. Stone Baby. That's what
No,
I'm put.
absolutely not. We are not talking about no. Um, I completely forgot what I was gonna now.
I'm talking about the guy.
Hey, you're gonna have to take that out. That's not very nice. And you
Owning the plantation.
you can't say that.
He
He's
should get
not
really
gonna
into
like me.
steampunk. He should get
No,
into
he's
steampunk.
not gonna like me anymore if he hears that. But
Look, you two get married, and then like once it hits like 35, he's just like all gears, all top hats. You know what I mean? That would be
no,
great.
no, you guys need to take, no, you can't, okay, we cannot have any of that in here.
We'll see.
So
We'll
let's,
see.
let,
We can take
no,
names out.
no, no, come on, you can't sabotage my online situationships like that.
You do an okay job with that yourself, baby. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Okay, well, I would be fine if you bleeped out like a lot of it for 30 to
Yeah,
45
I
seconds.
think I don't really know how to do bleeping things, and so I want you to add the bleeps, and you can bleep out whatever you want. Yeah. Can you roll your R's because you're Latina?
My brother can because so I was sent to the gifted rape program and my brother was sent to the
Wait, what?
the gifted rape program growing
Oh,
up and my brother was sent to
You get
the
raped, right? Are you saying gifted rape?
yes, gifted rape.
Okay, okay, good, good.
I was sent to the gifted rape program and my brother was sent to the dual language immersion program. My brother is I love my brother. I wish he would talk to me. Um, what's actually awful is that we're mutuals on Instagram, but I use the Instagram option to see what my friends are liking,
Hmm.
and I can see what he likes, and it's like young women in tight clothing, who have certain
Emotional
attributes.
damage.
They're they're dancing and bouncing up and
oh
down,
my
and I'm like,
God, he's gooning.
I'm not supposed to see. I'm not supposed to see that.
Does he like your posts? Does he like your
Uh,
stuff?
no, we're at a bit of a family Cold War. I'm going to take my little satchel, my little bindle, and go to far north Wisconsin. That's what happens when you're in a Latinx family.
The
Everyone
blood runs
fights.
too hot. The blood runs
Yeah, the
hot.
blood runs hot.
You see, white people, well, trash white people. That's all I can speak to is white trash people. They they're just malicious, but in secret ways. Like we used to have a joke that calling CPS on someone is a Appalachian mutiny. You know, it's the best power move you can do. It's so funny because my dad was is super racist. He probably still is. You don't really shake that thing, but He went to prison in the early 90s, and I think he's lying about this, but he says he was part of a white supremacist group.
Oh,
And he has
lovely.
like he has the ruins, he has the victory ruins tattooed on his hand. You know what I
What's the
mean?
victory ruins?
That's the SS symbol, basically.
That's some God
Oh.
of War shit.
Yes, yes. It's
Ugh.
so and I believe he was lying about he was like because he'd always do this thread of like I know motorcycle gangs, so this guy fucks with me. I could call them up and have a do. But the funny thing is later in life, when I became religious and stuff like that, I was looking at my family history, and my grandmother, who was also very, very anti-Semitic and very anti-Catholic as well. I remember her telling me that Catholics were like witches.
Based.
That they do all these
Damn.
witch things. But it turns out that her family came from the Czechoslovakian border. And so that she is actually Jewish, God rest her soul. And so my dad is also Jewish. And so that was a nice kind of thing.
I'm very slightly Jewish.
Yeah, you're everything. You got all these percents. You're doing race science. I did serious. You are a race scientist.
Hey,
You
no,
give percents for
no.
what your blood is. That's wild. Maybe that's just blood interests.
I am not a race scientist. Do not ascribe that to me, and you cannot find me
Unless
saying percentages of what races I
last
am.
last episode, I believe you said like you were like 1.7% something. I think it was Jewish or Polish.
Yes, I'm less than 1% Jewish, but I'm still somewhat Jewish.
You know what the white supremacists say? Not one drop. Not one drop. That's what they say.
Well, they're no friends of mine, despite what some theater kids from certain parts of Twitter think.
Theater kids is a great way to put it.
That's exactly what they are. But I decided to unblock everyone on Twitter because I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm cutting back on
Stop the
coffee.
cap.
I unblocked everyone on Twitter. I quit coffee. Or no, I'm not quitting coffee. I'm cutting back on coffee. I'm prioritizing myself.
Do
Is
you?
this what's healthy for me? I'm doing me. Because I'm in such radiant health right now, I want to preserve it and be,
You're sounding lighter already. I think it'll all work out.
yeah, I'm going to be like the Saul Goodman of therapy. So do we want to restart the call?
Sure, let's do that. Wait, David, where are you at? Hello? Where
David,
you
we
at?
can't hear you.
It's gone.
Speaking of the chat, so I had a phone call. I had an important phone call, and so I had to set my microphone down and stuff like that. And when I go back to check, Emily and Mari are like, "We're gonna call 911. I think he had a heart attack." Like just over and over again. It
Dude,
was
because you went like limp on the last call. Like we were talking and then you suddenly like faded. It literally sounded.
because I put the microphone down.
Yeah,
That's
but
what-
we could imagine you like slumped back in your computer chair, and the chair pushes away from the desk a little bit, and you're just like twirling around with the momentum of your own death.
Okay. Let's do some housekeeping. That's what they call it in the biz. Some little housekeeping before we go into this zone. Well, welcome back, Emily. Say the catchphrase.
Welcome back to the response pod.
No. The catchphrase that the fanboys all love. Come on.
I don't know what catchphrase
The
you're
let's get
talking
literary
about.
thing.
I'm
Are
not
you ready
indulging
to?
in that.
Well,
No.
you
I'll do it. Let's
Okay.
get literary.
That's
There we go.
no, I do not like that.
Come on,
That
it's
is
cute.
so.
What if we all do it
cute.
together? It'll be like
You
a
know,
little cheerleading thing.
I think. Well, here's this thing I had an idea for. Like, I can
It's too
introduce.
sincere.
I can be like, "Welcome to Response Pod," and then I say my name, and then Emily, you say your name, and then Mara, you say your name, and then all together we go, "It's time to respond."
I
Yeah.
like let's get literary.
Let's do something all together for once. instead of being at each other's throats. No, so we're not going to do either of these things.
No, I think we'll just get down to business.
This is fucking stupid.
You know,
Nobody
I
likes
invited
cute things.
Nathaniel Dragon to join the call, and he always ignores me.
Why do you do things like this?
Why?
Why do you? God, you can't break the sanctuary. This is our shit. He can make his own podcast.
That's
if he
like
wants.
inviting someone while I'm in my underwear.
I don't
That's
know
interesting you feel that way, but maybe we should focus on
the story thing.
let's
Okay, wait, one more
yeah.
housekeeping. So we're gonna start doing this thing called we don't have a name for it, but it's like a billboard service or I guess a bulletin board or something like that. And so you can email us at Emily, what is the email address?
Oh, hold on.
Okay. Well, Emily's
I'm
gonna
not
get
checking that email. They should just direct message
oh,
us on
but it's
Twitter.
it's a professional thing. We gotta be
No,
pros.
let them do it on X.
Oh
Like
my
Yeah,
that's the
on
God.
free
X.
Oh
speech
my
Thank you.
app.
God. Okay.
Yes.
Well, we're doing this thing where you can say you have something you want to promote. Say that you're I don't know. You want to say read my story or maybe you want a declaration of love, something like that. We're going to have you just send us what you want to say with some kind of offer. I don't know, like $1, $3, something like that, and we will say it on the pod for you, like a billboard across the internet highway.
No, I don't like this already because you said $1 to $3. I think we deserve like five for that,
Well,
given the
it's whoever. It's
numbers.
the offer. It's the offer that they'd make.
But I
You
think
know.
the minimum should be five. I
Well, I
think
like
we're
making deals. So, but no, there's no minimum. There's no minimum.
okay.
There's no minimum. There's no maximum though. Here's a
Yeah.
great thing. So yes, if you wanna say this person eats shit or something, I will say that. I don't want you to do this, but if you're like want to send a string of slurs, Emily's gonna bleep them out, but I will say them. You know. So yes, online literary billboard. We got to come up with a good name. We're just going with for billboard right now. Is that all the housekeeping, as they say?
Yeah, I think we covered all the bases.
Okay, so let's get literary. We're covering Zona Motel thing. It's an article everyone or an essay everyone's been talking about called what is it? The Starfuckers Dilemma, the Starfuckers Dilemma. And I don't know how well, first off, we have some friends who work for Zona Motel. Okay. So we're not just being mean. This is all fun. We're all trying to have fun, though we have things to say, and they probably are mean. And that's fine. But I know I said I wouldn't read Zona Motel, but I've been forced to. And they do a good thing. They do a good service. Go check them out on Substack.
So, what was the context of this piece? Because I
Well,
went nonverbal, but I saw there was some discourse about it.
So this is written by Brittany Ackerman, who is a writing instructor at Vanderbilt University. She has an MFA. I know there's some discourse about MFAs, but she's been in Joyland, Lit Hub, Los Angeles Review. She's got a Substack and everything. She's from Riverdale, New York.
she was published by
And her,
Vintage, which I thought was not impressive. No, it's impressive. No, it's impressive, but it's like, man, they just publish, anyone, I guess.
Oh my god!
so what struck people the most about this piece is that Miss Ackerman put in the middle of it, and I'm going to read directly from her post here. I asked ChatGPT why writers have a hard time being happy for one another. And then it's literally just GPT slop. And it has like that stupid emotional appeal to it. But my favorite thing about this piece on Zona Motel is
Yeah.
if you scroll all the way down to the comments, you have load for more comments. You have Danielle Shalasky saying maybe you'd be more successful if you could write a personal essay without having to ask ChatGPT for help. I love that.
That's my home girl. We're connected now.
Yes, that is my homegirl for saying what everyone is thinking. That's an amazing comment.
No, I got to complain about Substack too while we're at it because I printed out this article and like half of the words were missing from the printout of the page and there was like pop-ups on it. It's ridiculous. It totally threw me off. I had to read it digitally. Like,
See, I was wondering if we should read, because it's kind of short, whether we should read the whole article or if we can give like a summation of the whole article for someone who hasn't read it, because I've been getting complaints of like, I haven't read this thing and stuff like that, and maybe we don't want people to do homework. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I kind of like giving people homework,
I mean, that's
but
fine.
we could summarize this one since it's like slop.
I wouldn't say it's slop. I wouldn't say it's slop.
Dude, this is more slop than the piece from last week that you called content slop. This
Okay,
is
well,
content slop.
I will say about this, we are not, me personally, I did not go through this and do the typical kind of line, but I'm not going to comment about how it's written, just the content of it. Although I cannot help myself about one thing. Let me see the sentence. Shit. Where is it? Jesus. Oh my God. So this made me laugh out loud, and this is the only thing I'm going to bring up about how it's written. Okay, but true literary friendships are built on something sturdier than clout. They are forged in the trenches of early drafts and rejection and a shared love of sentences. It's that last, it's the last motherfucking line. It was like a fifth grade. A shared love of. We both love sentences. We all love sentences.
That's some freaking Riverdale shit.
Yes, that's very Riverdale coded. I agree that this reads like something almost like elementary or middle school. I think what Miss Ackerman is getting at is very true. But I'm guessing that she could be anywhere from 21 to 40 is what I'll say.
The wall
And
coming.
I kind of grew out of giving a shit about what other writers are doing. Like by the time, well, I would say now I don't really give a shit about
I
what other
mean,
writers are
Yeah,
doing.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
we do a little bit, like,
I think
to
we should,
gossip about it.
well, we should summarize it though first. Emily, because you're a teacher, can you just summarize and go through the things? Because I'm too scattershot, you know what I mean? You're together, and we
Yeah, I
won't
trust you
interrupt,
to do this.
but do a good
Sure,
job. You have to do a good job.
I always do a good job. So she's talking about being jealous of writers in 2019, and she's talking about going to AWP. I've never been to AWP, so I don't really know what it's like, but she's talking about meeting up with writers from the internet, and she's jealous of them, and she also wanted to be her friend, their friends. And she initially thinks that writing is kind of a lonely pursuit, but that literary friendship is productive. And this line stuck out to me. Even if I envy another writer because of their craft or accolades, that tiny iota of bitterness that almost always comes through, the really annoying voice that begs, why not me? And then she's talking about literary friendships. Here's another quote. She says, I wanted so badly to see my own name in the marquee lights that I was willing to like and repost and share and hype up and cheer on, no matter my own emotional connection to the writer or their writing. I only cared about their status and equating myself to it. That is a Cope sentence.
Yes, Cope.
That sentence is incredibly Cope. But
I mean, this is all pretty banal. Like,
well, we're also talking about this publication put out a history of alt lit series that is essentially masturbation, but I digress. Yeah, she also says it's in our human nature to compete, to compare, to want more and more and more, and for it to never satisfy us. I always say that success in writing is like advancing to the next level of a video game. There's always another set of triumphs to overcome, another boss to beat, another princess to save. Is this a AP exam?
I won't comment on how it's written. I decided I won't.
And then she has the chat GPT stuff, and she's saying, oh, the idea of a stalker. So she's referencing like a literary archetype of a Starfucker, and it's Star friendships often have an expiration date lasting only as long as the other person's relevance.
Hmm.
And when that power wanes, when the agent leaves publishing, when the editor is ousted, when the writer's star dims, they move on, always chasing the next gravitational pull.
That's like what we would have done if David had that heart attack. We would have just moved on. So we siphoned off his clout.
What clout? You guys have more followers than me. What are you talking
But you're the
about?
most well-liked member.
That is true. That is true. There's no denying it. There's no denying it. And Emily's second. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm more laid back on this pod.
I'm only second because I'm a woman.
Mm,
That's not an accomplishment.
I agree. It's not an accomplishment.
Yeah, she's talking about getting an MFA or whatever.
And how she makes like friends. She finds her friends.
That must be nice to have friends. But then she closes it with, we shared appetizers and tried each other's pasta dishes and got dessert for the table. It was then when I realized that this is my writing community, these women, this table that we have made for ourselves together. I don't need to claw my way into another group. Right here is my own little spot. This is where I belong.
I guarantee you in 5 years, none of these people are going to be speaking to each other.
Absolutely.
And one of the things is it's just like, oh, damn, congratulations. You learned how to become a real person and not some like flinty-eyed psycho. Good job. You know what I mean? What am I supposed to take?
I couldn't relate to any of that.
I mean, yeah,
like-
if we can get serious, I don't relate to it, but I can see how other people relate to it, right? I can see maybe people will have this kind of.
What this piece reminds me of Rookie Magazine. Do you guys know what that is?
Yeah, I remember that.
No.
So Rookie Magazine was billed as a website for teenage girls, and it was run by this girl named Tavi Jevinson, who's an actress now. And they would have columns like this, and they would have columns that were called Ask an Adult, and that the teenage girls would ask an adult about real life, which
Yeah.
interesting. Will you please answer my question about college, please? Pretty, please. That's what this reminds me of, is Rookie Magazine. And I don't have any problem with Miss Ackerman. I don't understand why she used ChatGPT in the middle of the piece.
I kind of like that part. This is a hot take.
Well, that's fucking stupid.
It just sort of fits this whole era we're in. People have like ChatGPT therapists now, so like I'm totally in agreement that someone would do this.
Well, I've lost trust in you now that you've said that, but
No, well, I just want to clarify. I personally wouldn't do it, and I don't use any AI in writing. But when I was reading it, it sort of like fit the whole environment that this piece was creating. It didn't break the immersion for me that she did it. It sort of felt like this is something a person like this would do.
well, I will say that I will disclose, and my apologies to Gabriel Hart for my email. We do use, and that's my apology. We do use AI.
Gabe.
Yeah, we do use AI in our advertisements, but in our visual art, but never for podcast copy or content. And I do not think AI writing has any place in podcast
Can
copy
we tell
or
them what
content.
you said? Can we tell them what you said?
Go ahead.
She gets a very nicely worded rejection because it is an AI art and he doesn't do the AI art thing. And she said, I've never read your magazine anyway. Goodbye or something. Which is very funny. It's very funny. But sorry, Gabe.
But dude, that sparked the
very-
whole ass fight in the group chat. Like,
Well, we're about dishing other people's drama. We're not going to talk about our drama. That's not our job. All right. Our toxicity is directed outwards. Outwards.
I'm turning over a new leaf.
Yes, you
I'm-
no,
are.
Emily,
I'm-
you're great. There's no beef or anything.
What about your apology
Yeah.
to her? I never heard that one.
What
There
I
was
did,
no apology.
well,
We moved forward.
We moved forward.
Okay.
We moved forward into the light together. But let me just say, if Miss Ackerman went into her drafts, let's say Scott McClanahan's wife approaches her and says, "Oh, I want a piece for my Substack Zona motel. That for some reason we're keeping the Substack domain and not building an entirely separate website. But I don't know if Scott McClanahan's wife knows how to code a website or not. But she goes and asks her, can you please give me something for my website?" She pulls something from her draft, some whatever, not really fully fleshed, and she's like, "Here, Scott McClanahan's wife, publish this. I would like the piece a lot more if that was the case." And now the more time that I spend with this, I wonder if it was kind of just something she threw to the wind for publication. Because it doesn't really fit in with alt lit. It's not engaging with alt lit. It does have like
The author of this piece is like some famous person.
Well, she's successful.
she's successful. She's a college lecturer, adjunct, or tenure track professor. She's a more accomplished writer than say like someone who has a book on like an indie press or something. She's the type of writer who would get an advance.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And good for you. Good for her. No hate. That's awesome.
Good for Miss Ackerman.
Yeah, good for her.
So that is so that it sticks out to me because when you have this publication is chronicling the history of alt lit,
You're so mad you didn't make that one. You're so mad you weren't in that. Is that what this is?
I don't give a give
Oh,
a shit
yes,
about.
you do.
Bro, all
I
lit
don't
is
give
dead.
a-
It's online lit now. We're
I don't
changing
give a
shit up.
about being mentioned with any of those people. I would rather not to be mentioned with them, but it just
But
sticks
you would
out
have
to
liked
me.
it. You would have liked
No,
it. Oh,
no, I actually
okay.
would have. No, no, they
All
they
right,
would have
all
been
right. Fair
served a
enough.
notice that says "take my name down." But
Would have served a notice to a Substack. Illegal, bitch.
yeah, her background does not align with this publication because, like I said, she is the type of writer. She has an MFA. She received an advance. What is she doing on this Substack writing a subpar piece? That's what
Bro,
I
I
have to
would
say.
never submit anything to a Substack. That just seems so like below me. I'm sorry.
That's so. What's wrong with you? You're such
What?
an asshole.
I mean, I need
No,
a
I
dot
agree with you.
com.
No, submitting to it. Oh, of course. Look at their recommendations. August Lamb, Blake Butler. They do recommend Al Nash, who I like. So
I don't know any of these people. All these people, no idea. No idea.
they,
who these
I'm,
fuckers
I
are.
think that they mentioned Steve Rogenbuck in passing in the alt-lit history thing, but
I literally know none of them. None of these. Um, I have some things to say about this piece. Like I said, I won't be talking about how I think, Emily, you did a good job, and I think I mostly agree with you as far as the quality of the writing. And I know why this was pressed out by Zona Motel. You know what I mean? Just because I guess there's kind of like a here, I've made it, not only like successfully, but I have friends. And so
any of those tyrant people, that older set of alt-lit that kind of is surrounding that older tyrant book scene, they do have, I would say, some real world literary power.
They're mediocre.
Well, I don't.
Tyrant Books is like the most mid shit, and don't even censor that. Like,
I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
No, I won't censor it. I said in one of the last episodes, I'm sure Giancarlo was a perfectly nice person. That writing, some of it isn't for me, but this is a different generation of writers.
Definitely.
This isn't representative of what's going on now. This is not
Yeah, that's one of the things I had down.
there's no where's the Chloe Wheeler energy is what I'm asking. I
Bro,
don't
where's the plastic bagger energy?
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, that's what that's one of the things I wrote down, that it's like this weird scarcity mindset, this kind of old world shit where it's like there's only so many it's just like there's a million fucking publications, there's a million things, there's a million niches. Now you can hopefully eventually you can make money like someone like a YouTuber does. You know what I mean? Where if you just have like a good fan base, maybe you will get known. I mean, you just shouldn't go into it for money. I mean, that's obviously the case, and there's ways you can make money, but
I think that people who pay for Zona Motel should
Jesus
unsubscribe
Christ.
and subscribe
I
to our
agree.
Slots Pod.
If you
We
have to
all
choose
agree.
one, if you have to choose one, I'd say yeah, go for us. No offense. You know what I will say about first, the piece made me feel incredibly old, which is a strike against it, a very dire
They're
mistake
older
from
than
Brittany. I
you.
know, but it
They're
made
older
me
than
feel
you.
old. It made me feel, especially being jealous in 2019. I'm not going to get into the whole age things, but there is some stuff in the beginning that a little bit resonated with me, or I could see how it could one shot other people. You know what I mean? Like
What resonated with you?
envy of another writer for like their not really that, or like a bit. Okay, so look at this. When I read something that I think is like great, you know what I mean? Like great, like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. You know what I mean? I have like this like mixture of excitement. You know what I mean? But I also have like this kind of mixture of dread. You know what I mean? It's like, are they better than me? Are they doing what I do better? You
Damn,
know,
bro, I didn't know you felt that way about
so
me.
I don't
I
feel that
see.
way about. Um,
I'm different in that I know that no one on this planet, except for maybe a group of
mhm,
probably less than 50 people, has gone through anything remotely close to what I have gone through in my
mhm,
life.
mhm, mhm.
So I know that no one will ever be able to capture what I get at in my writing.
I think
What
that's
about a
that's
child in Palestine?
let's well they're not going to be writing much longer.
Oh my god.
We'll cut that. We can cut that. It's interesting you say that because
That's true.
yeah, unfortunately, end the war. End the war. Kill all the hostages, Hamas. Kill them all. Kill
We
every
are the
hostage.
only pro-Palestine
Yeah,
alt-lit conglomerate.
But
we're the only ones who have the balls to say it.
to go back to what you're saying, Emily, that's funny because that's about that's kind of what I kind of trailed off with because I feel that way. Even like, are they doing what I do better? But the thing is, it's just not possible for someone to do what you do. To do, and this is, you know, I want people to write better. You know what I mean? And that's why maybe I'm harsh or maybe I'm through. But here's some advice or whatever. The way I see it is that every writer has like an internal voice. You know what I mean? And that will make you unique. It's always going to be good, at least in some aspect. And what writing is building the extraction tools for that. It's not self-expression; it's expression. Expression is the key. You know what I mean? I guess that's why I get so didactic about little things and like learning how to express what you want to say well, and then the self will come naturally. You know what I mean? It can't not come out. And that's your unique thing. And I know that's kind of hippie shit. And so that's why it's so interesting, I guess, for me, like the AI thing. I think everybody made such a big deal about the AI thing. I guess because that's a nice hot thing when
This
obviously,
woman has too much proven talent to ever
yeah,
include AI
but
slop
so
in her writing.
what I'm saying is that the piece itself is so much worse than the AI thing because this has such a dark fucking worldview. It is just like, I just can't, like, I just can't relate at all. And if you relate like this, I'm sorry, guys, but to like treat your friends or think of friendship as a way to make your writing better or to like, to what you can get from them. It's funny because the
Dude,
AI,
a lot of people do that.
I well,
Even
I,
in this scene, like,
well, yeah, but I think friendship is not something. Don't think about friendship as like something that you get from another, as something that's transactional. It's so fucking crazy to me. And this piece deals with, like I said, a fucking dark-sided worldview where they think human nature is to compete, to never be satisfied, and that it's, you can't fight these kind of things. And I just can't, I can't relate to a lot of this stuff. I just can't, and it starts by the end starts fucking disgusting me. You know what I mean? It's just like I said, it's just like, oh, congratulations, you're not American Psycho. You've become a real girl. You know what I mean? Oh, you've learned how to not see people as just like, it's just like, fuck you, you fucking loser. I'm happy you've grown or healed or whatever, but goddamn, well, you were a bad person. It's funny, the AI says this isn't necessarily means that they're a bad person, but it's like, maybe if you think this stuff, you are a bad person. I don't know. Maybe that's a hot take.
No, I mean, like, when I was younger, I can relate to some of the emotional notes, but I just can't imagine relating it to writing.
This woman has more real world power than anyone else in this publication. As someone who is a proven successful college teacher, having an MFA, being at a college like Vanderbilt, I don't know what she's doing in this publication, and this piece does not align with what I would expect from someone of her background.
I guess maybe it does, because it is, like I said, it is like an American, obviously not as bad as American Psycho, but it is like that kind of mindset. Like, this is a flinty-eyed fucking psycho. I don't know, to be like, I'm unable to feel happy for other people's success or my friend's success. It's just like, what the fuck's wrong with you? You're a bad person.
Even the realization at the end sort of feels plastic. Like,
Plastic is a good word. I feel like it's hollow.
yeah.
It's feel good. It's middle school. This is like an AP written response or so. This is an AP exam written response. I don't feel any sincere psychopathy in this piece, David. So I'm not certain where you're getting
I
that.
think he just means from a vibes level of like social climbing.
I think, to me, it feels very honest. I believe this is what this woman thinks, and that is so dark-sided.
It should be uglier then. It needs to be uglier.
But I think it is very ugly in itself.
I don't think it's ugly enough.
Yeah, but it's still Disney. It's still Disney. It has to be uglier.
It is Disney, I agree.
Like, what is the fucking core? Like, the core of this is, I was using people. I struggled all my life to be able to be happy for people, to be able to support other people. Every time, every relationship that I've been in, I've thought about what they can do for me. What are the benefits for this to me? Even equating it, like I said, to human nature. It's like, oh, this is just human nature. To me, that is fucking dark-sided and psycho.
But it's like clean. It's safe sleazy, basically.
Yes, it is. Yes, safe sleazy is kind of a good word for it. I respect when people are angry because anger is honest. And
But do you
I
guys
do
see
not
what I
see a
mean?
lot of
Like this
anger in
worldview?
this.
No, but I'm not talking the content itself. Like,
No, the worldview is like gross and dark.
gross.
But
You know what I mean?
the
It's just like,
vibes is like Disney. It's like a Disney
yeah,
villain.
well, like I said, I'm not dealing with that stuff. This content, I mean, that makes it even worse. You know what I mean? That it's like this. That's why I think it is honest. I think she does feel good about herself and like, oh yes, I did a growth. I did a growth. When it's like, you are doing the basic things that fundament like constitutes being a person in the world, being a citizen of the world, to not like think of people as disposable and always think of yourself like a fucking little perisher. You know what I mean? It's just disgusting to me. It's disgusting. I don't relate.
What was the word you just used? Little what?
Perisher. It means
What
like
does that word mean?
It means like a greedy little kid. It's an old term
Oh.
for like a greedy little kid.
It's like an Azalea Banks word.
But she's too dumb for that.
Oh, come on.
Oh,
That-
oh.
So before we wrap up this whole dark-sided nihilistic piece, I want to talk about the AI thing and just let me go off for a second because I think this is important. If you will allow me to go off.
Yep, you're allowed.
Okay, I'm allowed to go off. I actually don't have. I think maybe the AI thing. It's unnecessary, useless. I don't know why she made that fucking decision. I think a lot of people got upset with it because that's an easy thing. Maybe because they didn't know that the rest of the piece was about them, probably. But the AI thing, one thing that's kind of is interesting, and obviously she didn't expand upon this, but it's like, well, first off, if you have an opinion on AI with regard to writing, I think if you have a negative opinion, you're probably a bad writer because you think AI might be better than you. And I think if you have a positive opinion, you're probably a bad writer because you think AI will make your writing better. But it's interesting in this whole essay where it deals with will someone be better than me, being jealous of another thing, to add like a chat GPT thing, because I guess that will be the coming thing. And right now, there's an essential soul to a person. Right now, like I was saying earlier, once you get the expression, like that internal voice that you have, that only you have, will come out. And AI doesn't have that. But maybe it will one day. And that's kind of maybe nice to think of, but ultimately not worth it. But do you guys see what I'm saying? Like, obviously they don't touch on this because I don't know, maybe they're stupid. I don't know why they did the GP thing. Maybe it's a sly kind of nod to this, but you know what I mean? Like, people, what will be the future of AI in that capacity? Will it be
Bro,
able to?
that shit's on everyone's mind because I
Yeah.
saw the new Mission Impossible movie and the villain is AI in that.
Enemy AI. One of the things I think is it's just not fucking worth it. Should we really dump more resources and destroy our world even more to birth some kind of new thing into the world that requires unnatural methods and upkeep to stay alive? Because it's also like, are people good shepherds? Because we're not good shepherds. We're not good shepherds to animals. We're not good shepherds to the land. We're not good shepherds to each other. You know what I mean? So it's, so what is it worth to make like this new?
Oh, your vegan tip.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying, like, what if?
It's a generational thing.
Shut up.
It,
You're not a real Zoomer. Oh, Zoomer. Zoomer.
Well, Emily, don't you use AI like for advice and shit?
God.
no, I don't.
Yeah, you
I
do.
trialed AI
All your
therapy and I
poems are
use
actually AI. Did you guys know that? They're
I
all
will
AI.
sue you. I will sue you. I'm
Oh,
not even kidding.
I know you're not. But you think you could sue me? Where you're going to take this fucking house? You're going to take this wreck? It's more of a burden. But okay, that's all I got to say. That's all I'm going out. Stupid essay. Dark-sided. The AI thing, useless. I think people focus too much on it. I don't know why she did it, but it really doesn't matter.
Bro, Kanye uses AI now. He doesn't even record his own
Oh,
vocals. I fucking hate that on the Cuck
you
album.
you will love this. I think you especially will love this. So I was walking to the store the other day, and there was a guy in headphones, very aggressive, like singing, and he's singing the new Kanye song, but instead of "How Hitler," he keeps saying "Hail Hitler." So he's just like mumbling and "Hail Hitler." Yeah. Hail Hitler. Like, it's just like so fucking big. I've been recently, I've been in touch with a lot of old heads. And before I not go off about old heads, I'll tell you my experience. What kind of old heads do you, because I'm sure in New York, you have like probably every flavor of old head. And I'm sure Emily, Rockford doesn't seem like a place with even one old head. I don't
Dude,
think
I attract a lot of those types of people for
it's because
some
of your
reason.
rapping. You're rapping,
And like,
you
no,
know,
they come up to me and they like share these stories on the subway. One guy was
because
like,
they think you're
I got
homeless like them.
shot. No, they're like, I got shot in the back. I got 9 bullets in my back. Do you want to see the x-rays? They tell me about their daughter's birthdays.
Hell yeah,
Bro, like,
dude.
all these old heads love me.
What about you, Emily? Have you ever even encountered an old head?
Um, I have like two or three friends in Rockford, I would say.
So,
There's some old heads like Lewis Packard in Chicago is someone
mhm.
that's been around for a decade and is I don't think he
what,
would take issue with
what do you think an old head is, though?
someone who's been in alt lit for 10 years.
No, no, that
No,
is
the
not what an
world
old head.
outside of alt lit.
Yeah, fuck
Oh, oh,
alt
oh,
an
oh,
old
okay,
head, a real
okay,
old head. What do
okay.
you think an old head is? Because I think, because you're a Zoomer, apparently, that
Ugh.
you don't know what a
No,
old head is. You
no,
don't
then
know.
educate me. Go ahead.
Okay, an old head is typically a black guy. There can be white old heads, but it's very rare. And basically, they've been through it. They've been through the shit, brother. And they like to talk to you. They like to look at porn on their phone.
You can have like an old head coworker though. Like I had
Yeah, you can.
female old head coworkers at the high school.
Females can't be old heads. It's against the rules. There's no old head females. You got to be a black guy first off. You got to be a black guy who's like 40 or 50, and you got to talk about the old times. That's key to an old head.
You know, there was an old head that used to come into the library and he made us call him Brother John and he runs he has some sort of license.
Hmm.
But he runs a very suspicious daycare
Having shady businesses, also old head.
and he would pick the kids up from the school and bring them to the library. And my manager at the library said, Emily, you used to be a teacher. Why don't you make lesson plans for them? So I did create a bunch of lesson plans for them, and then they just ended up doing coloring books instead. But this guy, I observed him grabbing the kids. The
Yeah,
kids would cry and say that,
that's some old head shit. Yeah.
yeah, it was definitely old head stuff.
See, there's lots of old heads obviously here in Detroit, but there's a specific kind of old head that, and I've puzzled over this, and I think it's because, they probably went to prison in like the early aughts and are just now getting out. But they wear all that. It's like they're stuck in that time period. So you have old heads walking around with the, baggy jeans where the pocket is like, you remember those that are like garlands super embroidered on the back pocket, and the polo shirts.
I think that's a big defining quality of an old head is that they're a time capsule in a
Yes,
sense.
yes, a time capsule. There's all kinds of different things, but these old heads, and they love to listen to a lot of Lil Jon, music I haven't heard since I was in high school. And they're just kind of stuck there, and they don't know how to use any cell phone, and they're always asking you for help with their cell phone, and they always got porn up on the cell phone. They're always, I won't go anymore. I'm not trying to, I guess I'm not trying to be racist, but old heads are I would love to be an old head, but I don't think it's possible.
You're already kind of an old head. You have the initial strains of old head.
Like
There was someone who thought you were a gay old guy. It was Gigi Bussy Allen, whoever that
Yeah,
is.
Gigi Percy Allen.
I am
Says
not.
terrible things about Chloe Wheeler on his Twitter account.
Yeah, I don't like a
I'm
dick.
trying to make a promotional photo for this episode.
Hmm.
And I have this one of me interviewing Blake Butler, and he just has this
You should have Deadpool next to him.
Thousand Islands or no,
No,
Thousand Miles stint.
we should just do Compound bits. You know what I mean? It'll be well. So it's
No, come on, come on. I
put on the
actually meant to
sandals.
say, I, I,
Would you
I
like to buy
actually,
a lemonade for $12?
you know, that's, I'm not even gonna say who that reminds me of, but he
It
was
reminds you
pushing the
of
whole
someone?
backpack. The back patio bullshit. He was
Oh, wait, the
Oh,
podcast, dude.
no, someone who was talking to him.
Oh, I mean, that podcast dude is like a fucking federal agent.
I could see it.
Yeah, I gotta freaking like, well, he has that personality. Like, you gotta plead the fifth around him.
I'll say anything. I'll say anything. Yeah,
Well,
I have no problem.
I'm scared of the law, bro. I've got too
Ah,
much to lose.
you do have a lot to lose, I guess. You really do. You see, Emily and I, we are used up. We're on the brink. It's fight or flight.
What the f are you talking about?
Emily, we're in our last legs here, baby. We need this pod to work out, or we're done. We're gonna fly into the ether.
We did good numbers for three episodes,
We
to be
can't talk about our
honest.
numbers.
I got to flex that
I
though.
had a funny joke where I was like, have you been checking the metrics? What's that in Imperial? And I thought that was a pretty funny joke.
I don't even get that.
Imperial metric system. You see, you're so fucking stupid sometimes, bro.
I don't know this type of thing. Like,
Now, you know what I've been doing lately? Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks for asking. You know what I've been doing lately?
yeah, what have you been doing?
Thank you. I've been spiraling into crazy depression.
Aw, not me though. I'm flexing on you. See,
Yeah.
bitch.
Well, what I've been doing is I've been laying in bed and I get all the food that I'm going to eat and I arrange it all around me like it's some kind of like I'm a pharaoh and this is my sarcophagi. And then I have a suitcase by my bed and I put my cell phone in the suitcase and I've been watching a channel that exclusively does Pokemon icebergs.
Oh, that's fun.
And that's all he does. It's some kind of Slav guy who speaks really fucked up. But the channel name is Eisenberg. Because of iceberg. And his Avi is an iceberg, but with the Heisenberg
Yeah,
glasses. And
that's what I pictured.
And here's the thing about these icebergs is like I don't know any new Pokemon past Generation 2. And so there's like 11 generations now. So I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about.
I stopped paying attention after Sinnoh.
The Sinnoh region, is that Ruby?
That's no, that's Pokemon like Platinum,
Oh
Diamond,
wow.
Pearl.
Wow. That's crazy.
Those were the last Pokemon games I played.
I forget that you're like 10 years younger than me. No, like seven. Seven. No. Damn. Yeah. But so that's what's been happening. I've just been sad and watching Pokemon icebergs. And it's not getting any better. It's not really getting better.
Just start getting into the step life.
No,
But you
I'm not
live in a
gonna
war
walk.
zone.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fucking walk around Detroit. Dude, I get made fun of already. That's one of the things I think is like a white man's greatest fear, probably in life, maybe not, is to get bullied by a bunch of black teenage boys, to like be in the lobby of a subway and just a bunch of black teenage boys call him whacking gay. You know what I mean? And that's probably why this fear is why there's probably like so many shootings or something like that.
Bro, that's happened to me multiple times.
I bet you get bullied. That's awesome. I was walking down the street once and I had put on a little weight because of my medicine. And I had just gotten groceries. And the kids on the porch, as I'm walking by, they go, "Fat boy needs to eat." It's so rude. It's just so fucking rude. I hate being bullied. I hate being bullied by children and teenagers. They'll bully you. It's awful. Do you get bullied? by
Yes, I did. I did get bullied as a teacher.
by black teenagers?
My no, in Los Angeles it was a group of teenagers from Latin America.
Oh, and they didn't see you as one of your own, huh? They didn't. They
No, it
did
was
not
one of
accept
them
you.
was like 20 years old and they were all bigger than me and they would physically intimidate me and I asked for them to be taken out of my class and the school said no and then I retired.
You should have rolled some R's, for cred. What? You need to learn that. You know what I
No,
mean?
I didn't really talk about that with them.
You should have maybe opened up and be like, I'm part Latina, y'all. Y'all Lex, I'm part Latina. No? Hey,
I think
hey.
this photo is going to be pretty good. Hold on.
You see, Emily just don't pay attention half the time to what we say.
She's in
Yeah,
it for the profits.
yeah, big money. Oh, yes. Plug the Patreon again, Emily.
Oh, yes, please, please subscribe to the Patreon, please. I need to move out of Rockford by July 15th. Please,
Mm-hmm.
please subscribe to Patreon. Thank you.
You don't want Emily living in her car because then she won't have an address in which you could find her and come to her house and get her. She'll be traveling too much, guys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Ju-
Did you see the photo I sent? Do you guys think that's a good one?
I don't look at the chat while recording. I'm a professional.
I don't look at the chat while recording.
I saw the picture you
Oh,
have of just Blake Butler. Um, we kind of get off this Blake thing at some point. I don't know if anybody thinks it's funny. I know we think it's funny, but we're supposed to.
I run shit into the ground, to be honest.
He's on the. I still think you should see if you could put Deadpool behind him.
no, I tried to put him in Tiananmen Square, but
Oh my
ChatGPT wouldn't let
You
me.
know, you know, it's hard because his back is to the thing, right? His back is to the camera, so I think it'd be hard unless you like had a T-shirt that said "My wife's dead" on the back or something.